Here in this room, though, it is Stream A with the catchily named session, Is Your Business Loopy? And this is to brief you on a piece of work that's been carried out by B&Q in conjunction with the B&Q Youth Board and also Dame Ellen MacArthur on behalf of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. I'm delighted to say that Dame Ellen is here with us. Representatives of the B&Q Youth Board are here as well. And it will all be in the very capable hands of Kingfisher's Chief Operating Officer, Euan Sutherland.
Good morning. Thank you, Declan. This session is really all about rethinking. And I guess we've had some examples of having to rethink things already today with the agenda moving around a little bit, I hear, first thing this morning. But the title that we've got on here is just huge, and there's no way in the next half an hour or so that we could cover everything on that. So what we decided to do was to take a little bit of a different slant to that. We have got a couple of examples of how in Kingfisher, in B&Q, we are rethinking and repositioning our product and our whole business, our whole operating model, to cope and succeed in the years to come. Now, on the stage, we've got some very different people. Dame Ellen MacArthur, we are incredibly proud to continue to work with her, not only on her sailing successes, but into an even bigger mission, and she'll tell us all about that in just a few minutes. But also representatives of the B&Q Youth Board. Some of them are up here, and some of them are right in the front, and they'll all be presenting to you. Just to give you a bit of a kind of insight into why we've done that, it was a joint venture between Ellen and B&Q, where we thought that actually, is our board in B&Q the most in touch it could be? Is it the most relevant? Does it really understand what consumers of today and tomorrow want in our business? So we thought, okay, let's see if we can engage that. So we have two boards now in B&Q. We have the real board, who work every day, and we have a very insightful, very challenging youth board of 17, 18-year-olds who come in their Christmas holidays, half-term holidays to challenge the board. We have a chief exec, a supply chain director, a marketing director. Every one of the board positions are matched here. So it's a very different view, and it's a very different thinking of our business. So I guess this is the first question that we were dealing with. Is it time to rethink everything? Well, actually, 4 years ago, when the last phase of Kingfisher started, it was time to rethink everything. The housing market and our sales were very linked to mortgage equity release, and house moves collapsed. After that, the banking crisis happened and the worst recession in 60 years. So it was definitely time to rethink, and rethink from huge external factors. There was no choice. And our plan, which comes to fruition next week with the 4 years up on that plan, is all about self-help and rethinking. What we found in that period of time is that having a rethinking mentality as business as usual has become a competitive advantage for us. And so therefore, as we go into the next phase of Kingfisher, this is all about how do we rethink again and again. And it's rethinking across the whole of our business. It's the complete operating model. This isn't an eco plan. Actually, we're using the word eco less and less. It's about our whole business operating model. So whether it's our stores, whether it's our products, or whether it's our leadership and our people, it is about rethinking to be fit and successful for the next generation. So just a couple of examples of that. In our stores, actually, we don't think it's a dualism between multi-channel and big box stores. The fact is, in the B&Q business, we have 24 million square feet of space, bigger than anybody else in the UK apart from Tesco. Low sales density, so yeah, that could be a problem. We also have a business in Screwfix, which has 220 very small stores, multi-channel enabled, incredibly responsive. It's about getting the best of both of those to work together. It's about rethinking those models. In our product, actually, it's about rethinking everything. The type of product, the sourcing, where we source, and how we move it through our system. If you take timber, it's taken us over 15 years to get to 100% certified sustainable timber source. But that's really not the point right now, because we consume and sell into the UK timber the size of Switzerland. if you had all of the timber in B&Q and laid it out as a forest, it would be the size of Switzerland every single year. We have to manage that responsibly, but it's not the biggest challenge that comes forward. We've got to that place. It's about increasing demand from other countries and other uses, from the brick nations and biomass. And therefore, it's not just about having timber in our business, it's about having alternative products too. A couple of examples of that, we're now taking secondary packaging and upcycling it into hardwood decking. It costs less, it lasts longer, needs less maintenance. We've also looked at our hardwood wood supply. This, which you can't kind of see probably in detail, but is very, very hard, is bamboo. Bamboo grows and gets to maturity in 7 months. You can turn it into this hardwood product, which is 25% harder than the hardest woods in the world, and it's 50% cheaper. To grow a hardwood tree, it takes 7 to 10 years. The economics in this are just changing the way we think. So it is about rethinking our product too. And the last bit is about rethinking our leadership and our people. It's how we create together. It's how we connect people together. And we're working something called intelligent networks, which, to be honest, is really, really hard work. Command and control is so much easier. But it is based on the premise that the hierarchy works. And in our thinking, we don't think that's the most pervasive way of running our business in the next 5 to 10 years. The intelligent network, and this picture here, is all of our 200 leaders in the whole of Kingfisher. It's a bit blurred because there's some headhunters in the room and we don't really want them to see who they are. But the connection is the real point. It's almost like a brain here. And actually, if you could take the top 50, 100, 200 people in your business, forget the hierarchy, get them to create together, really following one single purpose, what we're finding is the results are exponential. It does require you to be a little bit more humble. It does require you to be a little bit more courageous. And it does take a long time. You need to be patient. But the results out of rethinking our leadership and our approach are starting to come through for us. The final point is staying awake. Actually, we become repetitive in our behavior. And it's easy for us to, even though we are physically awake, not be awake in our thinking. So the next couple of examples that I'm going to leave Ellen and the Youth Board to talk you through are just a couple of examples of how we are rethinking and staying awake with our business. So I'm going to hand you over to Ellen.
Good afternoon, everyone. When it comes to staying awake, that's certainly something that I was doing a lot of in my previous life, of racing around the world as fast as humanly possible. And I never, ever thought that that journey would bring me to a stage here in London today talking about what I'm going to speak about. But I learnt something. I learnt something from that sailing, in that when you leave for a round-the-world journey, you leave for 3 months, and you take with you everything that you will need for your survival. And when you're deep in the Southern Ocean, 2,500 miles away from the nearest landmass, you're brutally aware that those resources are finite. There is no shop to stop to buy more fuel. If you run out of food, that's it. What you have is all you have. And never in my life before had I translated that to our life on land until I stepped off the boat at the finish of the last round the world. Suddenly, I realized the finite nature of those resources on that boat were no different from the finite nature of the resources that we have on land. They're limited. There are only so many. And the way that we use those resources, as I learned when I began this journey 7 years ago, talking to scientists, experts, CEOs, young people, farmers, learning how do we use our resources in the world, I realized that the way we use them is really a result of the Industrial Revolution. We take a material out of the ground, we make something out of it, and then at the end of that material's life, that product's life, we throw it away. That is our business model. You make your money by selling more of those finite materials. Throughput is everything. But when you take that model and you look at facts like the New Scientist report of 2008, and you say, actually, for example, even when I was at school, which I hope wasn't that long ago, we didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about finite resources at all. We talked about energy in the future. We didn't talk about the fact that the New Scientist reckons there's 13 years of indium left in the world, which is what's in the screen of every LCD screen, your iPhone computer screens. It didn't talk about silver 40, tin 41, copper 60. It didn't talk about these figures, yet those resources we only have once. Nobody makes them anymore. And if you take that example of we have finite resources and you put them in that linear system through which we make our money in the retail sector, in many other sectors, even the economic sector is geared up for that linear system. When you take that and you say, what's the solution? All I could find as I went on this journey were people saying, use less, be more efficient. That's the goal. If you only have so many things, use less. But I knew from my experiences on the boat, using less got you to the finish line, but I could restock. We can't. And I found that one of the most demotivating things I'd come across. Because if, for example, like with the Youth Board, if, for example, in education, which is one of the main sectors that the foundation works in, you say to those young people, that next generation, your goal is to use less. Your goal is to do as little as possible, travel as little as possible, and do as little as possible. How motivating is that? Is it better they're not here at all? Surely there are things that we can do as fast as possible and with as big a vision as possible. And it was in that search for those ideas that I came across something which was quite different. The circular economy is a different way of thinking. The circular economy is taking that linear throughput model and you decouple growth from finite resources. At the moment, they're all tied together. If you look at the average European automobile manufacturing sector, or manufacturer in Europe, their raw material costs last year went up by 500 million euros. Raw material costs alone. Where will that be in 5 years? Where will that be in 10 years? If your business model is throughput, what does your future look like? If that energy is only getting more expensive because still the majority of it comes from fossil fuel, even with uranium, what does the future look like? Where is your business going? Where will your business be in 10 or 20 years? But what this does is it makes you rethink the whole system. This isn't tinkering with current manufacturing, being more efficient and buying ourselves time. The circular economy is rethinking the system in its entirety. It's looking at the fact that when the Industrial Revolution began, there weren't many of us, we weren't using many resources, taken right through to the speed we're using them today. And I'll give you one example. My great-grandfather was alive until I was 11 years old. I remember sitting on his knee, he was a miner, listening to his mining stories. When he was born, there were 25 cars on the road in the whole world. I sat on his knee till I was 11 years old. Our world is changing so quickly. And through this model, you don't make that current system more efficient, but you redesign it in its entirety. It's not just products, but it's also services. Take an example. If you imagine a washing machine today, that washing machine is made in a system of throughput. So the manufacturer makes more and more money the more machines that they sell. So they don't want them to last for 20 years, because you won't buy another one, which is how they make their money. If you rethink that washing machine in the circular economy, you maybe rethink the system in its entirety. So yes, you build a different machine, but do you buy that machine? Maybe you lease that machine. Maybe you pay per wash, because you rethink the system. And the manufacturer, therefore, has an interest in the machine because it's their machine. It's not your machine. They want it not to break. They want to be able to repair it because that's cheaper than making a new one. And they want to be able to upgrade it. So straight away, when you change that model, you start to get different products. Same for an iPhone. Do we really need to own our iPhones? Look at the recent O2 adverts. It says there at the bottom of the advert, great price for an O2 contract. By the way, you don't own the phone, we do. Do we really need to own things? Because if we can take those materials that are finite and they can go back to the manufacturer, and more importantly, the line on the design brief, the first line on the design brief says, we're designing this product for disassembly. We need to be able to recover all the materials so we can cycle those into the next product. And there are manufacturers doing this today. An EU carpet manufacturer has designed a carpet that's designed for disassembly that can cycle into another carpet, and their goal is to do that using entirely renewable energy by 2025. They know their costs for the next 25 years when they're at that point. So you're talking about a system, not just manufacturing, not just design, but reverse logistics. And when we launched the foundation 18 months ago, with the support of B&Q and Kingfisher, Renault, National Grid, BT and Cisco, we launched the foundation with two objectives: to work with business, to accelerate the transition towards a circular economy, and to work in education. We work in 14 to 19 education. We work with colleges and universities. We have a post-grad certificate in the circular economy running today, showing the opportunities of this different model, showing the innovation opportunity, showing the fact this is about being creative, showing the fact that actually, when you decouple finite resources from growth, the faster those companies grow, the better. Because if those companies are doing things in a different way that doesn't use resources up, but uses them, why can't they grow? And it's not just the technical materials like the metals and the indium and the coppers of today, it's also the biological materials. It's food and farming, it's what we eat. Most of the food in the world is grown using phosphorus and fossil fuel materials, which are limited. And the phosphorus price is going up, and we know that phosphorus, no one makes that anymore if you take it out of the ground in that form. So redesigning the whole system is what this education is all about, but it's also about business. And we did something quite fundamental 1 year ago. We went to McKinsey. And we went to McKinsey with the idea of a circular economy. And our goal was to write a report for the World Economic Forum this January, which is exactly what we did. We knew the model was coherent. It's very simple to understand. If you can cycle materials and you can run that on renewable energy into the future, then the business model will work for a very, very long time, unlike the current one. But what were the numbers? Because maybe it's 10, 20 years away. Maybe now is not the time to put the circular economy in place. Maybe it's too soon. So we ran the numbers. We ran 5 case studies through this report. We did a mobile phone, a smartphone, a washing machine, the cascading of materials in the form of cotton, and we looked at a light commercial vehicle. And it was staggering. The overall report findings were that the circular economy was worth $630 billion to the EU economy by 2025. And that's based on less than 50% of EU manufacturing, cycling only 25% of materials in those 50% of manufacturing products just once. And that's just the EU. And in that report, we discovered some very interesting things. The washing machine example. At the moment, a family who are struggling for money would buy a low-end machine. That machine will do about 2,000 cycles before it breaks. They'll pay 27 cents per wash for that machine to wash their clothes. If you buy a high-end machine, it's 12 cents a wash. It's fantastic. You put more money up front, you get a better machine, it lasts you longer, it's cheaper to run in the long run by a long way. But within a circular economy, if all the machines change, there is no low-end machine, because the manufacturer owns the machine, and you pay per wash. Everyone can wash their clothes for 12 cents a wash. And that machine will last longer because the manufacturer wants it to. The NPV works both sides, which is extraordinary. Take the light commercial vehicle. Rethink the automotive industry. So you take a car now, throughput model. If you say, for example, you're going to remanufacture a vehicle at 100,000 miles, taking the engine, the drivetrain, the gearbox out, all those things that would fail after 100 or could fail after 100,000 miles, you remanufacture that vehicle, you put in all the new kit, you sell it with the same warranty as a brand new car, you can make 3 times the profit, and you can sell it for 50% of the price. Why wouldn't you do that? So it's all about rethinking. It's all about looking at different models, and it's all about looking at changing the system. Not just the products, but the system itself. And through this, we've discovered there are massive opportunities for banking, for reverse logistics, for looking at the entire system, the whole way that we function. And the most important fact in all this is that the next generation leaves education understanding this is the biggest opportunity ever. That they can see that actually materials scientists we're going to need. We're going to need to redesign the energy infrastructure of the UK. We're going to need young people leaving education with STEM subjects. But more importantly, you want them to leave education feeling that the more they do, the better. And we're seeing this time and time again. And when I think back to my own life, and I think back to when I was 4 years old, and I was just starting my own education, I had that dream to sail around the world. I had absolutely no idea how I'd make that happen. I grew up in a mining town in Derbyshire. Nobody around ever sailed, and no one that went through my school was ever going to sail around the world. But I had that dream, and I knew exactly where I was going. And because of that, every decision that I took throughout my life got me closer and closer to that point, because I knew the direction. And I think that's what young people need when they leave education, is they need to see where they can go and where they can take these ideas, and just how massive the opportunity is from a both creativity, innovation, and economic perspective. So on that note, I would like to pass over to Jaydeep, who is the CEO of the B&Q Youth Board, who is going to talk to you about rethinking.
Hello, my name is Jaydeep Wasu, and I'm the CEO of B&Q's Youth Board. The Youth Board is a relatively new concept to Kingfisher and B&Q, as we were the successful few who made the cut onto their first ever Youth Board. You may not have a Youth Board in your company. However, over the next half an hour, I'd be keen to convince you there is value in this space. So who are we? Well, we are 9 very different 16 to 18-year-olds from all corners of the country. And a little later, I'm going to invite them all up here to join me, so you'll get the chance to hear from us all as we question, is your business loopy? Whilst who we are and what we want to do varies widely, I think I speak on behalf of the entire team when I say we are all aspiring professionals, all striving to acquire the skills we need to be as successful as all of you have been in your careers. We were actively recruited last summer to help inject a different perspective into B&Q, to help get its top teams thinking about a little bit differently, and to offer our ideas on a specific issue facing their business. This is relatively unusual in business at the moment, and we have certainly been learning a great deal from them. And in turn, we have brought our energy, enthusiasm, and new ideas to help them learn from us. Before I come on to tell you a little bit more about what we've been doing, I'd like to start right back at the beginning, at the recruitment process, which was pretty tough. In fact, after the competition launched, the BBC started recruiting for its junior apprentice. A couple of these guys also applied for that, and afterwards agreed that even Lord Sugar's recruitment process was less strenuous than B&Q's for this. It involved us writing an essay, filming and uploading a piece of camera on YouTube, and for those of us fortunate enough to make it into the final, a grueling assessment day consisting of group exercises and interviews. You may be wondering, why did we go to all the effort and why we wanted to apply? Well, the honest answer is, we are a determined bunch and we really want to hold the positions you are in now in our future. We have been really fortunate as B&Q has given us an opportunity to gain an insight into a leading retailer, and this is just something you cannot get from the school textbook. More importantly though, they have us working on a project to rethink an issue facing their business. We are also being mentored by a B&Q board member, and we will be presenting to both the board and Dame Ellen in July when our project concludes. The opportunity for me and experience has been unexpected but fantastic. In terms of the things we've learnt, the list is never ending. In my role as CEO in particular, I feel I've learned to appreciate just how much energy and responsibility it takes to lead even the greatest team, which is certainly what I have with the Youth Board. What I can't share with you today is the findings of our work, as the project is still underway. However, the project's roots have sprung from the circular economy thinking and how our rethinking in this mindset might offer some different and attractive solutions and propositions to the business. As Euan mentioned earlier, in order for Kingfisher to ensure success, they are thinking about more than just profits and sales. The circular economy shows us that everything is interconnected by systems and loops. And what we've come to realise is in business, not thinking full circle is leading, quite frankly, to some loopy consequences. After learning about the circular economy's loops, it got us thinking about other loops that retailers should be considering. What I hope we will be able to share with you today is how some simple rethinking might enhance your business, and we'll be covering why people, skills, interaction and business models will have to change in order to thrive in the future. The future is something we're all positive about on the Youth Board, and I often like to imagine what it will hold for us. And if I could project to, say, 2019, then I hope we will be making Retail Week headlines. Before I hand over to my Youth Board colleagues, Jamie and Mark, I'd like to leave you with a little video clip of the final, just to give you a real flavour of what we're all about. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Jamie, and I'm one of 3 members of the board who actually work part-time for B&Q. None of us are going to stand up here today and lecture you on how we think you should be running your businesses. But from my shop floor experiences and seeing things through a fresh young pair of eyes, I'd like you to seriously question the content of your boardroom conversations and see if they're really questioning what's being discussed in your stores outside of retail and what the consequences of this might be for you. In September, I'm going to be starting university, something that I obviously hope is going to benefit my future career. as without the qualifications behind me, it's unlikely I stand a chance of getting any job, let alone a top-level one. Given recent changes to higher education, the National Union of Students is estimating that next year, the average cost of a 3-year degree will be just over £60,000. University applications are already down just over 8% on last year, and whilst I can't say with any certainty that this is going to continue in the future, what I can say is that as young people, we're already questioning the long-term merits of buying into a degree, especially when we consider that youth unemployment and even graduate unemployment are at all-time highs. This might not impact you this year, but we believe that you should be rethinking the way you attract the brightest and the best from what's likely to be a dwindling graduate pool, as well as how you'll know who's the best if they aren't graduates. When we were appointed to the Youth Board, we weren't asked about any qualifications that we had. B&Q based their appointments solely on people's creativity and their teamwork ethic. My board mentor, Damien McLaughlin, started working part-time in-store just like me, and he's worked his way up to be the operations director of a market-leading business. How many of you can truly say that you have the foresight or the ability to capture people like him or I and bring us straight up the ladder? Young people today would jump at the potential opportunity, with the security of employment as a way to get to the top, but struggle to find retailers in particular offering such advanced career prospects. From our discussions, retailers in particular are going to struggle to attract these bright youngsters, as our perceptions of the industry mean that your industry sector isn't viewed as a career choice, but more of a part-time weekend job. Now, if you speak to young people already in your firm, you'll probably be able to question them and get their insights. And what I'd say, if you change their perceptions, you can go from the trap that they're going to fall into to your door of opportunity that they do want to walk through. The trap, straight into your door. How many of you are honestly working on this at the minute? I work on the shop floor, and it's more than likely there's someone just like me, young and with an open mind, already rethinking the way you do business. It's just that retailers in particular aren't interested in what a part-time college shelf stacker has to say, and we all think that's a little bit of a shame. B&Q have started to rethink this process, and they've introduced the Helpful People's Forum, as well as the Youth Board. Now, this forum aims that all employees can have an input into the future directions and decisions of the business. In short, is the structure of your hierarchy too tall for any ideas to get through? Is the no entry sign blocking the ideas into head office? All you need to do is remove it. And you're probably sat there thinking today that I'm young and I'm inexperienced, and you are absolutely right. But I believe that I'm the baby of the boardroom. As young people, we're the leaders of tomorrow, your employees of tomorrow, or even your regulators of tomorrow. Worst of all, we might even be your competition. Tomorrow's success comes from today's planning and rethinking. So I'd like to ask you this. Is your business loopy for not rethinking its people and its future skills? Thank you.
Good morning, my name's Mark, and I'm part of the first generation to grow up in this amazing world where technology is king and this little thing never leaves my side. I've no need to tell you that the world is changing at an incredible pace, and if your business wants to thrive, then you'll need to rethink. Rethink how you talk to customers, sell to customers, grab their attention, and keep it. There are 8.2 million youngsters between the ages of 16 and 25 in this country, on average currently spending 31 hours online or on social media sites a week. As the first generation to grow up with technology this advanced, it's become a necessity to our everyday lives. It gives us a power, a voice, and knowledge, anytime, anywhere. To capture your next generation of shoppers, the retail world needs to move in sync with us. Social media offers everyone in this room an open gateway into our thinking and our wallets. But in all honesty, how many of you are really rethinking the way you interact with us, rather than just trying to sell to us with low-price messages, gimmicks, or traditional above-the-line marketing campaigns? From what we're seeing in the market, we would suggest that it's not many of you. If you're sat there now in the knowledge that your business isn't currently thinking about this, you can take comfort that you're not alone. I even asked B&Q, whilst they're quite active on their Facebook and Twitter accounts, They're paid for via communications currently represent less than 1% of all our activity in terms of reach, even though being truly viral offers a potential for retailers to be heard by us at an incredible pace. With such technology, little things can become viral in moments. A great example of this is Lily Robertson, a 3-year-old girl, who wrote a complaint to Sainsbury's saying their patterned loaf of bread should be renamed from tiger bread to giraffe bread because she felt it was more blotchy than stripy. Sainsbury's customer manager thought it was a great idea and responded enthusiastically. Lily's mother posted the letter on her blog and it went viral and created huge interest. Sainsbury's became bombarded with messages from the public supporting Lily's suggestion, and subsequently they decided to change the name of the bread. Other than being fantastic sales success and PR for Sainsbury's, what this example really shows is the power of the virtual environment, and that young people, even only 3 years old, can bring creativity, innovation and ideas to your company. And the beauty of viral campaigns is that they can be done quickly and cost-effectively by anyone, putting big and small businesses on a level playing field. We're hit by thousands of messages a day, but as young people, we've grown up with this noise, and we know how to tune it out. Our technology means we know if you're not offering the best price or highest quality. We don't even have to tramp up and down the high street to compare anymore. It's all in the palms of our hand. Which is why we want something more. We want a conversation that will engage us with your brand. An example of someone who's doing this really well is Innocent Smoothie. Their brand is friendly, humorous, and engaging. Their jokes lure you in and get you to read the small print. Innocent aim at the higher end of the market, but their brand persona creates a database of loyal and repeat customers. And repeat customers are walking billboards. We now, more than ever, trust online reviews from other users because we know what we're told by retailers isn't always believable. Just over half the people in this country research online before they make a purchase, with many of them also doing last-minute checks, even when they're in your aisles. And I hope to leave you with what I think illustrates the ultimate reason for rethinking your customer interactions. In 1995, a little unknown business launched online. It had no high street presence. Whilst in recent years it's augmented its viral communications, its success is creating a trusted brand in a virtual world. Still with no high street presence, and not loved by necessarily everyone in this room, but that little business transformed the retail model and last year reported a £30 billion turnover. That's amazing. That's Amazon. With 1 billion people using Facebook and 100 million active users on Twitter, smart retailers are recognizing that customer needs and wants are changing at a fast pace. So in a world where technology is king, I'll wrap up now and leave you with my original question. Is your business loopy for not rethinking its interactions? Thank you.
Is your business loopy for not rethinking its business model? Well, why should you? Rethinking is definitely not easy. And what we're becoming to learn as we understand about the circular economy and from the work on the Youth Board, though, is that everything is interconnected. And with a future of uncertain material prices and uncertain energy prices, businesses will need to rethink their models in order to move to ones which are successful long term. We've recently come to learn of an example of how failing to rethink can be absolutely and outrageously loopy. When I tell you this story, you might see it as a problem. What we see is an opportunity to design out waste from systems and products, an opportunity to rethink waste from being a business cost to a business asset, and an opportunity to become more efficient by saving costs now and mitigating price increases in the future. A leading national retailer has rethought its customer proposition by introducing a click and collect service. As an illustrative example, a customer ordered a 50-inch LCD flat screen TV. The TV isn't stocked at the store, so it's sent there via special order. The trouble is, the TV wasn't collected, and the retailer doesn't have a mechanism in place to backhaul this trapped stock. The solution? Pay a company to take it away and smash it up. Why would you want to chuck a TV out? A brand new, perfect product becoming waste. As a business, you have just lost resources which are just going to be more expensive next year. All those material costs, transport costs, advertising costs, not to mention the time and the energy involved in selling that product. We think this is absolutely loopy and highlights exactly why retailers should be rethinking. By the way, I will not disclose the name of the retailer. Other than that, it is not B&Q. However, if any of you are thinking there is a business opportunity here, I will disclose the name to you afterwards, to the highest bidder. So, is your business loopy for not rethinking its business model? Kingfisher, and they are by no means alone, believes that closing the loop is essential for future success. They have only just started to take the first steps, but they are starting to rethink. Appointing a youth board is just one of the ways they are doing this, but they are also starting to rethink some of their products to pave the way to a better future. We would like to close this presentation by inviting to join me the rest of the youth board, who are each going to share with you how this simple rethinking has been translated into B&Q's product line.
Thanks very much, Adi. Bamboo flooring. Unlike traditional wooden flooring, this is made from bamboo. It is more durable than hardwood and can be stained to look like more premium woods, such as walnut. As Euan mentioned earlier, it is made from a grass which can grow several times faster than its hardwood alternatives, hence making it more affordable and more sustainable for the consumer. Now that's rethinking.
Nature paint. This product really shows how rethinking the system can bring innovation to something that's been done the same way for so long. Nature paint is simply a packet of powder that the customer mixes with water. You can make the amount you need, and you can even compost the leftovers along with the packaging. It's no nasty chemicals in it, and it's made from natural Cornish clay. That's rethinking.
Paint, one of B&Q's largest selling products. We've looked at the future of this product. It's now made from 85% recycled materials, and to go along with this, the shape has been changed, so now we can fit more pots in one transport journey. This cuts costs, and it cuts emissions as well. That's rethinking.
Kitchen cabinets. Our kitchen cabinets are now made from waste wood, brought back from our stores and FSC wood pulp. Moreover, the factory which produces them for us is powered by biomass made from the waste wood chips. Once our cabinets are being manufactured, they're flat packed, ready for distribution, minimising their impact. That's rethinking.
Recycled plastic loft insulation, one of B&Q's upcycled products. Not only reducing waste plastic, but also waste heat. It's made from an average of 86 waste recycled products, recycled plastic bottles. That's rethinking.
White spirits can produce toxic vapours which can be harmful to both humans and the environment. Also, if the liquid isn't properly disposed of, it can cause great damage. B&Q's solution is a non-toxic water-based alternative which is safe for all. Initially, as a trial, it was launched in one store, but because of its great success and many added benefits, it literally flew off the shelves. As a result, it's being introduced nationwide. That's rethinking.
Eco Wallpaper does a fantastic job of covering up the home while letting the user do their bit to save the environment. As a result of being printed on 100% approved SFC paper, not mentioning the water-based inks, it is a biodegradable product which comes in many modern fashions, as well as those that are more traditional. It's also universally available throughout our stores. That's rethinking.
This is B&Q's most recent rethink. This is a bioplastic drill, and as you may see, it's only a prototype. The drill is plant-based, made from castor oil, meaning that it does not compete with land used for growing crops. It is also stronger than most conventional plastics, meaning that we can use less plastic for the same job. Also, this plastic can be reground and remoulded back into new material without diminishing the quality, and it has a far lower carbon footprint than other oil-based plastics. Now that's rethinking.
This product has already saved us over £1 million. Traditionally, kitchen workshops would be packaged with a lot of single-use cardboard packaging. However, B&Q have rethought this with a plastic reusable carrier pack. It can be used for up to 40 trips, is made of 45% recycled content, and it can be recycled at the end of its life. By rethinking the packaging solution, we have made it quicker to pack and unpack the product, reduced product damage, and reduced carbon generation by 1,200 tonnes. With advantages like these, it's no wonder this packaging is award-winning. That's rethinking.
We've been rethinking. Isn't it time you started to? Thank you.
Oh, well, what a tremendous presentation from the Youth Board. I think they deserve another round of applause for all their efforts tonight. Thank you. Euan, I don't know if you wanted to make a concluding comment at this stage before we move on to the next event.
No, I don't think so. I think, I'm not sure if there's any time for questions or not, but other than the guys finished off really well. It's a tremendous effort to stand up in front of you all and lots of preparation to get that going. So I'd just like to congratulate them again. And it is genuinely helping the B&Q and Kingfisher business to think differently. So we'll certainly be doing it again. We were talking earlier on about how we do it next year and keep it going and build it from here. So these guys have been an inspiration to us. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. And thank you also to Dame Ellen MacArthur. That was an interesting point. You are going to do this again. This isn't a one-off.
Yes, absolutely. I think, I mean, we're not finished yet. The guys have still got to finish their project, which finishes in July. And so we're in the process of rethinking that now. But it's been a very, very good first year. And I think that as we build jointly with them and the business, then we'll move it forward. It just feels like it makes a lot of sense. We were talking earlier on today about doing it in France, because clearly we're in 8 countries, the 2 biggest countries, UK and France. And Ellen has lots of presence in our Castorama business too. So next stage may well be that we take it to France and we rerun it in B&Q, but it's just opened our minds to a different way of thinking.
And this isn't just greenwash. This isn't something you're doing because it looks good at conferences and it gets good headlines.
No, it's nothing to do with that at all. I mean, as I guess back to one of the comments I made earlier on, this is not really about eco. This is about rethinking our business model. So this is looking at the circular economy, that debate, being very serious about that. It's fundamentally very difficult thinking because we are in the flow of thinking in a linear way. And to stop that thinking and to rethink takes a lot. And it challenges many of our long-lasting thoughts around running a retail business. Not just a retail business, but any business. And the operating model rethink is the point for us.
And you are actively re-engineering parts of the business as a result of the thinking that they're doing.
We're actively into that. We're actively, I mean, it will take a long time. This is not a quick fix. It's not a conference showpiece. It is a very deep thinking and long thinking piece of work that we have started. And I guess the point with Ellen is that we are just at very early stages. There's absolutely no way that we profess to be an expert in this. And Ellen and the foundation are a fantastic stimulus for us and the other partners to be able to get this thinking in. I mean, fundamentally, we may not be selling stuff in 20 years' time. We may be renting it. So to think that way just challenges every single principle of our operating model, and we're at probably 0.something% of that plan.
I'm not entirely sure how you rent DIY.
I think it's around, well, that's part of some of that rethinking in there. Part of the drill, for example, is that we can take that back into our system. We can redesign that, and we can sell it back to you.
Fine, but you're not going to take back the bamboo flooring that I make a complete mess of when I'm trying to do something in the kitchen.
Well, challenge would be how to help you to do a little bit better, Declan. I don't know, but we're certainly trying to do that,
too,
in educating our
of re-education.
people. Yes, absolutely.
Dave Allen, do you mind if I ask you just to come back up just for a moment, because I'm interested in what you're clearly working with B&Q on this, but that's just one company. We're just going to get a microphone to you as well. That's just one company. Clearly, there is an opportunity here for your message on the circular economy to work throughout retail and in other sectors as well.
I think one thing we've discovered as we've been moving along the circular economy journey is that it doesn't just touch retail, it doesn't just touch manufacturing, designers, it actually touches every sector. Because when you rethink the whole business model, you start to even rethink how do you measure the success of a business? How do you measure the resilience of a business? If your business, saw raw material costs go up by 500 million in the last 12 months, what will that look like in 5 years? Is that a model that can continue in the long term? And I think having seen that century of price declines erased literally in a decade and seeing more volatility than we've ever had before in history with raw material prices, that's not a nice place to be if you're in manufacturing. And the need to change the way we use those resources changes so many other things. As the youth board mentioned, rethinking logistics, rethinking getting things back, rethinking the way things are marketed, sold. What are you actually selling? Are you selling the product or are you selling the service?
And you say you brought this message to Davos, to the World Economic Forum, which takes place there every year. Those are the high priests of the current consumption model of capitalism. How did they take your message?
I think when you put an economic opportunity on the table worth $630 billion US, I think people listen.
They were interested.
We're talking about opportunity. We all know that the Industrial Revolution was now a long time ago, and there are 3 billion new consumers coming into the market by 2050. Our current model cannot work in the long term. I don't think that's something which is debatable. And so the current system of making things more efficient can't provide a solution. It buys us time, and we absolutely have to do it in the transition period. But the transition period to what? And I think if you put an opportunity on the table, and it's a significant opportunity, and you talk about the scale of the opportunity, and then you start getting those minds thinking, as Euan said, they're 0.1% of the way on the journey, but they know just where they're going. And I don't think that is the thinking across the board. Where are you going? And I think having that thought process in place, talking to those people, getting those minds engaged, just in the breakfast briefing we held in Davos, the conversations were extraordinary. Everyone there was thinking, yeah, but what about this and this and this? And it just makes you think, and it challenges your thinking. And the moment you start to do that, your whole mind opens out.
It sets the little snowball rolling down the hill. These, though, aren't little changes. They're not easy changes. You're not talking about fixing one thing here and one thing there in a company. It's a complete overhaul of how many companies will currently run their businesses.
It is a change of the whole system, and it's not even that company alone. It's also the companies that B&Q works with logistics or Renault or BT. It's about rethinking a system. So it's not just the challenge of changing your own business, but it's those partners that you cooperate with. The carpet manufacturer, when they said we're going to send you our yarn back, and we'd like you to depolymerize, repolymerize, and send it back to us for the next carpet, they had 5 suppliers. 2 said no, 1 was on the fence, and 2 said yes. Within 3 years, they were all doing it. There are now new depolymerization plants being put together. So it is a journey, but it's about knowing where you're trying to get to. And also the report was so fundamental to us because that question, is it now, is it in 10 years' time? Because it definitely works, but when? The report said right now there is an opportunity. And there's not just opportunity in rethinking and redesigning products, but there's also massive opportunity when it comes to the getting those products back. So do you sell or do you rent? Do you, in the McKinsey report, so how many loops do you go round? You can sell a phone once. Actually, you can sell a phone twice. Then you can recover some of the key parts of that phone. Then you can recover the materials in the phone. Then you can remanufacture the phone. You have different loops of different value loops. And there's benefits in each of those loops. Like the cotton example, you can cascade cotton. You have it in jeans, then it becomes insulation within or soundproofing within a car door. Then it becomes insulation for a house. You can cascade. You get multiple benefits from those materials. So that bamboo flooring that you screw up when you're doing your lounge at home, actually that goes back. How do you design that so it goes back in the system? So it either turns into new flooring or it's just biodegradable and compost down, and that becomes fertilizer for the farms near where you live. It is a great pleasure to have had you here at the conference today. Thank you so much for your time and for being with us. Dame Anna MacArthur, thank you.